Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Christian. I'm the author of the Pivot Protocol. For those of you seeing the videos here for the first time, this is our weekly Friday Q&A. Forgive me while I get this set up. I always hit record before I'm ready. There we go. I can't get it off here. Hold on. Okay. Come on. All right. Good enough. Here we go. First of all, thank you to all of you writing in and sending your questions. Tried to do my very best to get to everybody. I know some of you. I read every email, so I'm not ignoring you. If it takes me a few days, I was at a conference this week, since Tuesday, so plenty busy. But like most of you, plenty busy. So let me dive right in. Questions here. This one comes from Anne, asking about. A lot of you asking about food combining. It's something we have to address over a period of time. I cannot give you a menu of things to eat. Look, if solving reflux was just about giving you a menu of things to eat, nobody would have it. That's why the conventional approaches don't work. There's not a menu that you have to eat. You have to figure out your exact imbalances and then fit the foods to your symptoms. And that means you have to understand something about the foods and something about your symptoms, the effects that the foods have and what your symptoms really mean. The meaning of symptoms is the cause. When I say, what do your symptoms mean? I'm talking about what organ imbalances do you have going on causing those symptoms. Your organ imbalances change over time. In fact, they'll change during the day. The symptoms that you have from your morning reflux, let's say, after you have breakfast, are going to be different than the symptoms that the organ imbalances that cause your nighttime burning and acid reflux. So that it is not as simple. I know everyone wants me to just just put one document up with all the foods we should eat. It's not that simple, obviously. I mean, I'm not saying it to... I'm not saying it, and I'm not doing this to be difficult. I know everybody wants to know, just tell me what to eat. It doesn't work that way. It seems obvious when you step back from it. It's like, if that's all it took to cure reflux, somebody would have written that book. The trouble is you have to be very fluid in your understanding. It starts with an understanding of what your symptoms mean, which I begin to demonstrate to you in the quiz. If the first thing you saw of the Pivot Protocol is the quiz, that's the beginning of understanding. There's different kinds of reflux, meaning that there are different organ imbalances dominating at any given time for any given patient. And once you fix one of those, you got to go fix another one right away, and another one. And it is the fabled Gordian knot. You cannot just treat your liver reflux and hope that it all goes away. And of course, because we live in time and space, this does not go away because you solved it one day. You have to be very diligent and continue to eat and hopefully enjoy your food. God knows, I just stayed at a really high-end hotel in Miami Beach, and I mean the food was ridiculous, right? Every single meal. But it doesn't mean you have to, make yourself sick or imbalance your body. You can learn how to eat really even rich, delicious foods, and within reason, obviously, right? I know for some people the obesity thing is a big problem. That certainly doesn't help, but it doesn't mean you have to eat foods that you don't enjoy or that you're not going to actually derive pleasure from. Eating is one of the great pleasures of being alive. So, Anne, and everybody else writing in, okay? You don't address good breakfast options for your gut. First of all, it's not true. I do address good breakfast options. Several of my favorites. Now remember, my patterns are partly because I was ill for a number of years, partly because I was an athlete, and partly because I'm also pushing 50. My spleen, for sure, I have a lot of that spleen reflux thing. I have a ton of heat in my liver. People who are driven, people who work hard, people who are athletic, people who don't sleep well, right? I mean, the aging thing compounds liver reflux because the liver is always overheating. You're always trying to restrain it and cool it and calm it. Right? But you can't just dump a bunch of cold foods to cool off your liver. You can't just wolf down a bunch of cold foods, raw food, right? Vegan, vegetarian kind of raw vegetable diet, because then you damage your spleen. Okay? So that's my typical imbalance. I don't really have very big swings between dampness and dryness. That's more or less under control for me. I mean, I'm prone to it like anybody else. And heat from the liver creates dryness. A weak spleen creates dampness. It's like dryness and dampness are secondary. If you broke the pivot protocol, the pivot organs down even further, the main organs are the liver and spleen, because that's your stress response and your immune system. So if this helps you to even make it more simple, for most people, it's not that you have a weak immune system, it's that your immune system is like a nuclear meltdown. It's like a nuclear reactor that's melting down. Your immune system's attacking your own body. That's autoimmune disease. You can have this at a low level for years and years, and a lot of people if you're watching this in the US and the UK and Canada and Australia and New Zealand, a lot of people suffer from this, and they actually have no idea. And modern medicine is not that good at diagnosing it until you're in absolute crisis. And then they give you steroids, and it makes you worse, and so on and so forth. Or it helps you, again, right? That's another Band-Aid kind of medication for a really serious complex condition, just like acid reflux and taking acid-blocking pills. Okay? So, look, guys, this is all very important to understand, but my breakfast, a good breakfast, right? Especially if I have dryness, I'll have oatmeal with flax. Right? You don't need to take laxatives to move your bowels. Have some flax. Milled flax is better than whole flax seeds. Chia seeds are great. Anything that's mucilaginous, right? When you cook flax, it gets very slippery, right? When you cook milled flax and you have a tablespoon of flax with your oatmeal, for sure that's going to moisten and slicken your intestines so that you can move your bowels. So that's one example of how you would beat, if dryness is compounding your reflux condition, then moisten dryness. I always have my green tea, usually when I get to the office, about 9 o'clock. I'll have good, I give you in the material, I give you my contact information in the resource guide for my good friends Herman and his sister Karina and Uncle G and Chris and all my pals out in San Francisco and on the tea shop on Grant Street in Chinatown that I love, Vital Tea. And so I get good quality green oolong teas, mostly, sometimes green teas, and I'll have my tea. I don't usually have kombucha after breakfast. I will sometimes have, a drink of my beverage that I've brewed first thing when I wake up, okay, to prep my digestion, et cetera, et cetera, okay? So that's one example of breakfast. Also, I'll, good breakfast foods, if you got to get going, meats of any kind. I'm a big fan of turkey. I'll have some amount of meat, animal protein, to get my body going. It does warm you. Meats are warming. Obviously, meats are warming. Obviously, when you eat them, you do feel a big rush of vigor and robust kind of health for your body. That's why they're so concentrated with protein. And even a small amount of meat really gets your juices going and all the rest, and it wakes up the furnace inside you. If you think of your digestive system like a furnace, you put some coal in the furnace and the whole thing is going and it gets hot, and then your body is ready to go for the day, pumping blood through, and you're active and you have some vigor and some strength in your body. Okay, I'm a big fan of protein in the morning. So there's two examples right there, okay? If you suffer dampness of any kind, get some good tea and go for it, okay? Who's this from? This may be from Anne as well. I just finished your information. I understood a lot of it. Started with this, started with that. Recently, I've been taking care of myself. I still get plenty of exercise. I increased my coffee and alcohol intake over the years, eating well, but not really well. My throat, a lot of you writing in, talking about throat problems, burning in the throat, pain in the throat. Writing in about plum pit sensation. That's a Chinese reference, but it's the feeling of, gee, I can't swallow. It's almost like something stuck in the esophagus. If you've ever swallowed, a tablespoon of peanut butter, right? You can't quite get it down. It's like that feeling. Maybe not quite that exaggerated, but that sensation that the pit of a plum is stuck in your esophagus. And I feel like she says here, or he says, excuse me, I feel like I'm going nuts. So I just started your program. I'm stumped with what to eat for breakfast. Okay, well, good. Well, I just addressed that. This may be from the same student, maybe not. Eggs. I'm a big fan of eggs. For a lot of you, even if you can't eat eggs without getting reflux, which is really disgusting. I mean, belching up, a sulfurous belch. It's almost like, having Giardia or something. If you're belching up after you eat eggs, have egg soup. Okay, I write about this in other free blog, my free email. Have egg soup. It's magnificent. It's a great way to get, eggs are wonderful food. It's like a very, very whole, complete food that you can have for yourself. It's so easy. It's so inexpensive. It's so simple to do. I talk about it in the protocol, how I prepare it. If you have dryness, you can add one ingredient and get rid of your dryness. If you want to add other ingredients, you can balance out your other types of reflux, your other organ imbalances, your other causes of reflux. Okay? So there you go. If you want to eat cereals, grains of all kinds, I mentioned oats. I like polenta. I like corn grits from time to time. Super good, because all of those cereals can be made into very soupy kind of porridge. And then what do you have, right? You have a very easy way to digest a lot of good nutrition very quickly. Okay. Agatha here writing in about fundoplication surgery. Look, I researched it. Thank God I never had to go through this. But especially if you have hiatal hernia or any damage to the muscle in the muscular sphincter muscle at the bottom of your esophagus, the lower esophageal surgery, referred to as fundoplication surgery. It's surgery. The success rates with it are quite high. So there's reasons to consider it. It's surgery. Okay? You're going to be under general anesthetic. I mean, it's as close as they can bring you to death. There's a lot of reasons you don't want to be in a hospital getting surgery. If you like all surgeries, it's like if you absolutely have no other possible way out, then probably it might not be a bad option, to be honest. But you have to weigh the fact that you're still, a major surgery to your body, especially, when you get to a certain age, you can count on certain health things coming to get you. But, our culture, especially in the modern era, is surgery crazy. And it's not smart, right? All surgery requires recovery. All surgery has risk. So I tell you the same thing I tell everybody who asks about surgery. When it's time to have surgery, by God, you roll the dice and you do it. But you do absolutely everything. And for most people, doing everything to avoid surgery is way more than what they think doing everything to avoid surgery is. Okay? I mean, you have to look at this like it's a loaded gun pointed at you, and you go, I have to avoid this. I have to do something to avoid surgery. They should almost drag you in for surgery, right? Kicking and screaming. Because people default to it too quickly. It's like, well, what if it doesn't work? What are you going to do then, right? What if you get a hospital infection and die on the table? There's a lot of reasons you want to be very cautious. I don't think people know, like in America, there are like 200-something thousand deaths not from medical malpractice, just from, right, like the normal practice of medicine. Couple 100,000 people die every year. A lot of that's just, we're not talking about mistakes. We're talking about in the normal course of practicing medicine. This is what's going on. It's like the third or sixth leading cause of death. That's an insane statistic, right? That should make you want to run screaming from every hospital you see. When you need it, you need it, If you have to call on it, do it. But, don't rush to do fundoplication surgery. Do your best, That's why I put this program together. I do not know, Agatha, if you're a masterclass student. You should be. If you're facing surgery, when I say do anything, this is why I created the pivot protocol, to help people avoid that, okay? Quite simply. I mean, that's really what we're talking about here. Okay, I'm following your instructions. Yes, Ferdinand, hello. Making soup, drinking this, eating protein first, good. Been about a month and I see some improvement. That's awesome. And I mean, keep doing it. Guys, there's always a time element to this. It is not as though you're going to go on the pivot protocol. Some people see relief instantly, like within 24 hours, like, oh my God, it works already. But you're going to have more work to do. This is the This is, as one author said, the Iditarod, not the 40-yard dash. If you've been sick and your organs are damaged to the point that you're belching up your intestinal contents, you can be sure you have some work to do to undo the habit, the pattern that your organs have fallen into, a dysfunctional pattern of relationship to each other where, again, and I explain in great detail what that means, the liver and the stomach and the spleen and the intestines, and how they go out of balance and how each one makes the other one worse. Okay, and what to do about all of that is going to take some time, right? It's like saying, like, oh, I went to the gym once and I'm done. It's like, no, of course not. Your body takes an imprint from that experience. Okay, so when you have a good day, you write down and figure out exactly why you had a good day, and then you do it again the next day. Okay, and when your condition changes, and this is the important point that makes the pivot protocol so useful to so many people, when your situation changes, by God, you change with it. You change your behavior and your diet and your menu and your food selection, and maybe even your eating times possibly. Okay, based on your symptomology. When your symptoms shift, you shift your activity, you shift your behavior, you shift your food choices, you shift your own solution. Because when the new symptoms pop up in place of the old, you've made progress, but now you got to nip that in the bud so you don't slip back down the slope. Okay, I hope this is clear, because this is the whole point of the pivot protocol. Okay, it sounds like you're doing great, Ferdinand, so keep doing what you're doing. From Roxanne, she replied, I'm in too much pain now. Well, I hope you get started, really. I mean, get started and send me your questions, okay? I hope you're seeing this. I really do. A lot of you, a lot of people respond, and then it's like, get started. Like, don't put it off. It's your health, okay? It's your digestive health. It's the cornerstone of your entire longevity and your quality of life. Okay, Maisie, wondering what I can and cannot eat. Obviously, okay? That's why I do these videos, so that it really makes sense to you quickly. But if you're not a masterclass student, you need to be. I have an entire video section talking about, here's how I prepare simple meals. If I had a flare-up, and I don't get flare-ups, I don't get reflux anymore. I put those videos together because, like, this is how I did it. I still eat a lot of the meals and the foods and prepare foods very similar to what I showed you on those videos. It's not something for me that I got well again and solved my digestive illness and then just went back to acting like a total jackass every time I eat. I don't recommend that. I think that should be obvious by now. You're eating a diet to promote intestinal digestive organ health for the rest of your life, because why would you ever do anything else? Okay? And the benefits of that, if they're not obvious to you, they will be, and if they're not important to you, then I really can't help you, okay? But wondering what you can and cannot eat, I just addressed that earlier. I said why I can't just give you a list of foods, although we are little by little breaking down, here's some different meal choices and ways that you can prepare food that are really going to help the different types of reflux. But you need to study very hard in the masterclass, figure out what kind of reflux you have, learn about all 4 types, because you're going to have more than one. Every real-life person has more than one. You never have a person with one type of reflux. It doesn't exist. That's a textbook thing. For sake of discussion and learning, we can separate them out, but nobody has one type. It's a chimera. Okay. So keep studying, or start studying. If you're not a masterclass student, I just highly recommend it. What do you have to lose? For heaven's sake, I made this program for you. A woman named Sandra here talking about, I can't eat, I have all bile, right? Yeah, I get it, okay? But you need to get that draining downward. It's supposed to go downward. If you're producing bile and it's getting stuck in your stomach and then coming back up your esophagus, understand that people don't think of it this way, because we think of the gallbladder as somehow separate. You produce bile in the liver. That's liver reflux. Your liver's hot. It's overworked. It's producing a ton of digestive. Bile is a digestive salt, basically, that's in liquid, and then it's a type of salty mineral that breaks down fats. And when it's bubbling back up in your esophagus, because it's coming from your liver and even your gallbladder, is squeezing it into the main bile duct, and then it goes into your stomach, where it's supposed to break down fats and help break down foods that you've just eaten, heavy foods, right? Damp foods. Fatty foods are damp foods. So, maybe look at what you're eating in terms of the dampness of the food and the food selections that you're eating. But you don't have to eat a damp diet and have damp food selections to be overproducing bile. Overproduction of bile is your liver. That's your liver is running out of control. Remember, I said it's always getting out of control. You have to calm it down like a child that's beside itself. You have to calm your liver down so that it's not doing this thing to you. Okay? Probably don't need all the bile, right? That's why when people's liver gets overactive, over-agitated, overexcited, you produce all this digestive bile, and you don't need it. It has nowhere to go, and then your intestines are blocked with dampness, right? And then one of the things that you have to recognize also how important it is to move your body. If you have reflux or any digestive disease, there's a big imperative that you get some, I hesitate to use the word exercise. I'm not talking about going to the gym. Go swim. Go do something really, really gentle, but get your body moving. Because the mechanism, the fight or flight thing that happens, which is your liver, right? Which is your liver bugging out, right? Really, really freaking out, and you get that fight or flight response. You stop digesting when you're in fight or flight. So stress stops digestion. And if you stop the movement of food and bile and right the chyme, it's called CHYME, if you stop the movement of that through your intestines, obviously it is going to bubble back up. Okay, so when you get exercise, you go out of fight or flight, right? Or actually you stress your body physically, not psychologically. And then fight or flight turns off and you get some good rest. But the movement itself, just physical, vigorous movement of any kind, whatever your age, right? Whatever you have to do to get some amount of activity. We're incredibly sedentary. We get more sedentary as we age, but our culture has just become almost like belligerently sedentary. And video games and a stupid phone all the time, a bloody computer. It's like, turn all that crap off and just go outside and do something. Like, get used to it. Make it part of your lifestyle. Ride your bike to work, right? Whatever you have to do to get some vigorous movement will help your digestive organs move things through them, okay? If you have bile bubbling back up, do these things. Hello, Christian. Yesenia. I grow a lot of herbs myself. I want a better understanding of how to combine them. That's beyond the scope of this class. That is why I offer the herbal consults, which some of you are taking advantage of. If you're into herbal consultations, please let me know. You contact me at the info@Pivot Protocol email address. I'm happy to talk to you about it. I have a whole, right, I'll send you 2 quick sheets and get some questions answered from you. Combining herbs at the level that it's done in Asia and with indigenous medicine is way, way beyond Western. I wrote a quick email about this week. It's way beyond Western herbology. We are not catching up to the Asians in herbology because there's no impetus to do it. They've already done it, right? It's the best herbal system by a wide, wide margin for reasons that I explain elsewhere, but don't kid yourself. Like, Western herbology is primitive. You do not mix a bunch of herbs together the way they do in Western herbology. It's completely ineffective. Okay, and I don't even recommend, like, don't even go buy these things by yourself unless you really know herbs. I mean, people are sucked in by it because there's no oversight. Nobody is vetting. Nobody is guaranteeing or looking at this. And I'm not even a big fan of government and the FDA and all the rest. It's like there is no proper oversight of these supplements. You have to understand what you're buying, what you're getting, and how they work well together. That's what the study of herbology is. That's what I spent 12 to 14 years really getting good at. So it's not easy. It's not easy, Yesenia. I'm happy to consult with you. I sent you the information, okay? How they combine and all the rest is beyond what I can explain here. It's too big a topic. Yeah, Alyssa writing in about sensitivities. Once you're usually, look, just like anything else, right? You can be born really sensitive to stuff. Your normal constitution is very sensitive to anything, right? To any bloody thing you put in your body is really, really hyper aware of it, and that can go the same for mental, emotional, psychological conditions, but shifts in your psychology, right? Can be very, very. You can be hyper aware of what's going on inside you. It's a big 5 trait in psychology. called, right, neuroticism. And it's not a bad thing, but you have to know how to handle it. It's almost like a superpower, to be honest. So you have to be very careful. And I know you're doing great. I know you're trying super hard. So keep sending me your questions. Keep working on it. You know, if we can get together on the herbal thing, we'll do it. Okay. Again, here, a question or comment about chest and throat sensations. This area, right, that gets so bad, and then also compounded by dampness and loose stools. Loose stool diarrhea elimination is almost always of this variety. If you think, go back to your metaphor with the pot is the stomach, and then the fire under the pot is so weak that you put food in and it just runs through you. Okay, so especially if you're seeing undigested food in your stool, that for sure is the fire of digestion. The only way you can fix that, the two ways, right, logically that you have to fix that, you have to strengthen the digestive fire, that's your spleen function, so that it can separate out. It takes the food in the pot and it starts taking out the good stuff and spreads it around the body, and it sends the waste down into your intestines, but in a way that the waste can actually move, right, not a bunch of undigested food that either runs through you or blocks up your digestion with food stagnation, which is the other possibility here. But if you have loose stool diarrhea, you strengthen the digestive fire, and also you don't, well, this is one and the same thing, but you strengthen it. You can do it with herbs, you can do it with certain foods, but you got to eat, right? You don't burden the digestive fire. That's why I talk so much about soups. Okay, remember, your body has to turn anything that you eat into 100-degree soup. If that's the case, then eat 100-degree soup in the first place, and it doesn't have as much hard work to do. Okay, it is very, very difficult once you've been sick for a number of years and really behind the 8 ball. It's just hard to get there. Okay, so hang in there, keep going. I know you're having days that are good. Everybody is sending updates. I'm happy to get them. Nobody can do this for you. It's just very, very hard. When you're sick, it's really hard. The good news is you don't have a choice, right? You're either going to get well or you're going to spin out of control and eventually crash, and that will be that. And I mean, that's not a fun thing to think about, but, right, it's a hell of a motivation. I've seen people who really, quite frankly, had very poor discipline do really prodigies of self-control and disciplining themselves and really getting their life together because, they want to see their kids and, they want to be around. And you can do a lot when you have that kind of motivation and when you're really, truly ill. So it's not, it's like there's compassion, but there's also, use logic, If you're having good days and you're figuring certain things out, then by God, keep going and do that, keep figuring out what's working. Just keep working at it. Of course it's not easy. I mean, healing a serious illness is really tough. It's really, really, really tough. And, in some ways, thank God I went through it because I really understand what all of you are going through. I don't care how sick you are. I went through it. I was desperate. So if you're desperate, I get it. Keep going. Yes. Question here. This is actually from Yesenia, but an earlier question about congestion. That dampness gets pulled upward. Okay, I wrote about this actually, so this was in one of my emails this week. And the question here has to do with congestion. Where is it coming from? First of all, you get dampness because it goes down. The mucus goes down, but heat from the liver goes up. So some of the dampness and some of the heat combines with the heat, and the heat causes this phlegm and mucus to rise up, and then you get pressure in the sinuses, postnasal drip where it's dripping down the back of your throat and all the rest. Okay, this condition is called damp heat. Okay, it's very common. Damn near every one of you has some damp heat going on because, again, right, it's almost universal in adults. The liver is just burning itself to a crisp, and that's what it is to be an adult, right? We're stressed, and it's not easy, and life is demanding, and it gives you stress, and your liver gets hot, and you got to deal with it. Okay, so there's that, but then also as the spleen gets weaker, you get dampness and it goes down into your intestines and it makes you fat, right? And you put on weight and you get all this mucus and junk building up inside your organs, and then the heat little by little starts to pull it upward. So maybe you clear your throat a lot, or maybe you even have a productive cough, right? But for sure, post-nasal drip, congestion in the sinus passages, could be here in the front, right, any place. You get pressure above the eyes, that kind of thing. Even just muscle tension and pain in the upper body especially. That's phlegm and dampness, okay? For most people, that's exactly what's causing that. And it's really, really important not to give into it. So, the question here, what if I drink raw milk? It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter if it's raw or I recommend a certain kind of dairy. You can certainly drink milk if you know how to counteract the lactose intolerance thing. I go into that, I believe, in phase 1. But raw milk ain't going to help you either because milk is damp. It's really damp. And unless you're drinking it, like when I'm in Central America at my place in the mountains, a goat herder brings his goats right by my path. And he literally milks the goat in front of me into a bottle and gives me some cheese. And I have my goat cheese, and I don't even have a refrigerator at my house. So if you want to drink it warm from the teat, fine. But most people are not. So my point is, you're going to take milk, even if it's raw milk, which has good bacteria in it for the most part, right? Hopefully you don't get sick from it. It's a little dangerous, but not really. I do it. But you take milk, and what do? Put it in the fridge. So now you have milk is not only damp, it creates a ton of mucus in the body. You drink a glass of milk, you feel the mucus right away in the back of your throat. Because, right, it's very nourishing. It's very heavy, thick food. When cows drink milk, they grow great big fat animals, right? Several hundred pounds. A calf will put on, several hundred pounds in a very short period of time as it grows into adulthood. Okay, so get the understanding here. If something's that hard to digest and it's producing dampness, you can't drink it at all. Okay, if you have congestion, you gotta stop drinking it. Raw milk, of course, milk without milk that's not protecting you from your immune system overreacting, which is what this kind of sounds like to me, is also then a real culprit for autoimmune disease. So don't do it. You wrote here, it does give me horrible congestion. Stop drinking. You can't have it. The point that I made in the email is, people ask like, will I be able to drink this again? Will I be able to eat this again? I like coffee so much. Can I have it? Can I eventually have it? It's like, that's not a question for me or anyone else to answer. That's a question for your body to tell you whether it's okay to do that. Big difference. Okay? You have to be the one to read your symptoms and decide. By and large, we know that milk is damp. We also know that coffee is very heating. Okay, all stimulants overheat you. That's why they're stimulants. When you take a stimulant and it overheats your liver, well, if that's part of your pattern is liver reflux, then no, don't drink coffee. That's the answer. It's not an answer anybody wants, but that's not me. That's not Christian telling you what to do. That's your body telling you what's causing your problem. Okay? So here's the part where I educate you on, specific foods have specific effects on the body. They're pretty universal. We know it, what coffee does, like we know this. We already know milk causes dampness. You don't have to do research on it. It's been well established at this stage, okay? Coffee is very difficult for me to give up. It depends how bad you want to be well. It's not that difficult, I assure you. I drink it in the morning with raw milk and honey. Honey, too, is very heating, and it is very damp. Okay? So damp heat, right? That's what you got going. I know it's contributing to my reflux, and I am whining off it as well. Okay? Interesting Freudian slip. But, okay. Ordered tea, as you suggested. Great. Good for you. You're much, if you're dealing with reflux, you are so much better off drinking tea. Yes, it's a stimulant. Yes, it gets you going, but it drains dampness and it clarifies what's going on in your intestines. It does help the spleen sort out the pure from the impure, right? It takes the good stuff. It helps your spleen figure out, you can do this yourself. Have a bite of cheese pizza and drink some good tea. You can feel it washing the dampness and grease out of your system. That benefits your spleen, okay? I just love coffee and the taste and smell of it. Yeah, I know. I mean, a lot of people do. Believe me, it's not that good. And it's not that hard to give up. It's really not, okay? I mean, you make a decision. You're an adult. I drink ginger tea every night. I know it's warming. Will it heat your liver up? Ginger is very strengthening to your digestive fire. It's generally good for spleen function. Um, are you awake at night? Because if so, then yeah, it's too much heat. If you're sleeping okay, probably not the worst thing to take, but I still wouldn't. I don't know. It's like if you're sleeping through the night, the biggest single thing that overheating the body does is it will destroy your sleep cycle. So if you're overheating, then stop. That's the answer to that. What's a good alternative to drink? You can drink very cooling teas. Chamomile's kind of calming. It's a calmative. There are cooling kind of teas, mint teas of some kinds, peppermint, spearmint can be decent. Certainly it will help if you suffer gas pains or any kind of bloating and gas. That's not a bad one to drink at night. Kava. Kava is a type of pepper, so it's actually a little bit warming, but it also does have, for some people, it's calming enough that it's going to cool you off. I mean, the best thing is obviously get to sleep at night. So anything that will help you sleep through the night is very positive. Other cooling herbs and teas, I don't have anything that you're going to run down to the store and buy. There's some pretty good formulas that are very cooling to drink at night. Sometimes I do that myself, right? If I've had a bad night's sleep and I can feel that my body's overheated from either too much time outside or whatnot, I'll keep a good cooling formula around the house and take that myself. But again, that's pretty high level herbology. So I'm not going to just spout that out. You can't get these formulas anyway. You have to be a practitioner to order them, at least if you're going to get any good quality stuff. Okay, so if you want to get herbs for it, great. Let me know. If you're sleeping through the night, you're doing well. Doing all your suggestions. I'm doing X, Y, and Z. Great. Keep going, Yesenia. It sounds great. Lori asking me about kava. I just mentioned it. The main debate is, again, this varies from person to person, doesn't it? Because, right, on the one hand, it's like almost every adult has a hot liver. That's almost guaranteed. It's baked into the process of aging, unfortunately. You can counteract it to a point, but the main thing is at night, you got to sleep, right? You got to sleep. A question came up about sleep medications. And they're terrible. They're just terrible. If you gotta get a night's sleep, then you keep some sleep meds around. But as a general rule, you don't take them. Okay, it's better to even go on several hours of sleep. And I mean, this is a tough one. It depends on what your job is and how much freedom you have in your life. But if you got to sleep in the afternoon, sleep in the afternoon. Like get a nap, right? If you can't sleep through the night, find other times where you can get rest. The siesta thing that we really don't care about in North America, but that like Spain is wonderful for this. Some parts of Latin America, certainly, but in Spain everything closes up because from about 1 to maybe 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock, it's just a great time to get really, really restful sleep. So my advice is do it. Take advantage of that. Your body goes to its low point, metabolically speaking, at that time. That's why you feel so tired, right? Most people, it goes down to that low point where it wants to rest, and they take a cup of coffee with sugar, and it's like, boom, jack it back up. It's like, no wonder you're sick. You have to rest. Let your body rest. Pay attention to your inner rhythm and sort of your cycle in a 24-hour day and a 24-hour cycle. Pay attention to what your body wants to do, and don't eat anything that conflicts with that. If you know you can get some rest in the afternoon, which is what I'm about to go do, you take rest, okay? Sleep meds, they are terrible, It's like, they are terrible. I've dealt with them myself, and I just don't. I stay as far from them as I possibly can, and I just use lifestyle. It's not like I'm taking a bunch of herbal formulas to get to sleep either. So I know I talked to you about that separately, Lori. Do your best. Do your best. It's like I mentioned that if you're not getting good sleep and you have to take something to get to sleep, rotate them. Just don't take one thing night after night after night. Certainly not, a heavy duty, tranquilizing sleep pill. They're horrible for you. Horrible. They continue to deplete and waste away your substance, right? So you tend to lose weight on them, right? Even though you're sleeping, it's like you're kind of rested, but not really. Your body is burning itself up. Renee, if you're watching this, it's like I wish and hope that I could help you better. I don't know your case, and I'm not practicing clinically here. I'm just trying to give good general advice for people based on the questions they're sending me. I know you you're saying here you tried the holistic way and it didn't help you. I don't know why that would be. I think with what you're describing in your own situation, it's not likely that you're going to get immediate, you got a serious situation going on. It's not likely you're going to get immediate total 100% relief. So, if the medications are working for you, great, but it's not going to be a long-term solution. That's the unfortunate reality. Okay, you might be able to take them and get some relief. It may work for you for a few years, but eventually that's going to run out for you as your body changes with age. And I know what I'm talking about with that. Okay, a few more questions. Yes, the question here, again from Lori, this may take a lot of work. Is it possible to create a list of foods showing which are warm, which are cooling? Yeah, kind of, but you can also figure this out, okay? We're talking about the net effect. I mentioned several in the pivot protocol. Here's what I eat before bed to cool myself off. It's not a mystery what that is, right? Really. I mean, generally the answer is fruits and vegetables, and eat some amount of raw fruits, right? You can always have a cold salad with a cup of warm water to protect your spleen. There's nothing wrong with that. The salad is cold, so that helps get heat out of your body. Clear heat. The Asians say clear heat. You clear heat out of the body. You clear it. It's a technical term. Okay. You drain dampness, or you dry dampness. Herbs dry dampness. Somewhat green tea dries it, but mostly it drains dampness out in the form of urination. Okay, so there's technical implications to everything that I'm telling you and trying to teach you here. So warming and cooling foods. Warming foods are warm. First of all, they're not cold in temperature, but warming foods are, again, meats, spices are warming. You don't want to overdo it either direction. Okay, you have to balance the heat and the cold thing. Generally, fruits and vegetables are cold and cooling. Have those later in the day so you can cool off at night. Warm your body up in the morning and get your body going. It's just as important to get your ass moving in the morning and really get it moving. Like really eat stuff that's going to really move you, like get you some good mojo to get going. But I can't produce that list for various reasons, and I've already gone into them in this video. Various reasons being, right, it's not that simple. You have to determine for yourself within certain parameters what you're going to do to fix it. I've given you general categories of foods that are warming or cooling, but that's about as good as I can do, because if I do more than that, then people write me and go, oh, you told me to eat this fruit, this food. It's like, no, I didn't, and no, I'm not going to tell you that. Okay. And also there's a big preference thing. Everybody takes diet in the West way too literally. We think very reductionistically. Like, oh, I got vitamin E today. Like, who knows what vitamin E feels like, really? Okay? But if you eat a salad like I describe in the masterclass that I eat almost every night, well, that clears heat from your liver. These two vegetables clear heat from my liver over and over and over again. It works for me. Okay? Just wondering about other foods. What should I include? I get it. That's what I've talked about a lot in this video. Concerned that not eating foods that I've learned over the years are good for other health issues. Berries are good. Yeah, I agree. I mean, look, I eat everything. I just have a very, it's not even discipline. It's just like out of simplicity, I eat a very simple diet. It's actually better for you to eat the same foods, pretty much the same foods over and over again. That's what made the Spartans, right, so tough. Variety's great. Eat anything that's available, but you should kind of have a regimen that works for your body. You don't have to go out and find hundreds of different foods. We have access to enough foods. You don't have to go out of your way. So the stuff you mentioned here, berries are good antioxidants. Yeah, sure. Absolutely, Lori. Walnuts and almonds, no, they're not actually good for omega-3 because you can't digest them. You can't digest them. It's very, very hard to digest nuts. Okay. I don't know anybody, especially past a certain age, who's really robust enough to be digesting nuts. So you can get your omega-3 elsewhere. Mostly fish is really the best. Eat fish constantly, like every day eat fish if you're really concerned about that. And I don't know that you need to be. Flax is another good one. It's dirt cheap, it's much easier to digest. Citrus is good for vitamin C. Yeah, but not really. I mean, and get a good green powder if you need to get, vitamins and minerals and all the rest. Citrus is okay for vitamin C, but citrus is really, really damp. And citrus is one of these allergen foods that will trigger your immune response because it's almost always contaminated with fungus. Almost all citrus is contaminated with fungus. I mean, there's no way for you to know because it's very microscopic and it tends to grow and right, it contaminates the fruit itself, even though it's on the skin, right? Very highly, highly allergenic food. Yeah, I don't think in your case, Lori, like you're very smart. Eat what you think are the beneficial foods, but maybe play with, especially some of the stuff I'm telling you. Like, don't burden your digestion. When you burden the spleen with a difficult to digest food like almonds or walnuts, your liver has to work harder. And your immune system's going to go crazy and all the rest. Okay. So, and I mean, you list a couple conditions here that you're worried about. I wouldn't worry about it. I mean, you know, aging is what aging is. We all have to be ready, right? To when it's time to get off the planet, you're going to have to be ready for it. Osteoporosis for women, the major thing with osteoporosis is not even diet. Dirt poor people in other parts of the world, these women do not get osteoporosis. Not the way that we see people in our culture do it. Okay, it's more of a stress thing. Physical stress on your body is great for you. So stress your bones. Bones are piezoelectric, meaning that the more pressure you put on your bones, especially the lower body, so legs, right, femur and major bones in the leg, your tibia and your fibula and your femurs, the more pressure you put on them, the more the bone matrix pulls calcium into the matrix to strengthen the bones. Now, yes, you have to eat enough, right, to get good calcium. Fish, spinach, right? Greens, leafy greens, kale. I like collard greens, right? Real good soul food. All of that stuff is just loaded with good calcium and minerals, and right, it's great for getting rid of that. Excuse me, I was thinking of gets rid of bile too. It's great for preventing and even turning around osteoporosis. You get a lot more calcium from greens and things like this, and then stress your bones, right? So don't think of everything as having a solution tied to diet. It's not that simple, and we all have enough food. Having enough food and being neurotic about, gee, do I need to eat more of this food, more of that food? Don't worry about it. We all overthink how important it is that we run to Whole Foods and go buy something so that we don't get heart disease. That's not really how that works. It's really not, you know? It's like you're rearranging the chairs on the deck of the Titanic. You're eating plenty good enough. I've heard from you enough, and I know that you're conscientious enough to really eat a good diet. And we're all very wealthy here, okay? So we get access to great food. That is not the issue here, okay? You're worried about heart issues? Then, you know, sleep, good sleep, getting off meds and things like this. And then you don't worry about it because someday is going to be your last day on Earth, and you don't worry about these kinds of things beyond a certain point. I know it's like a flippant answer. I'm not trying to be condescending in any way. I'm not saying you shouldn't be conscientious enough to have good health, but past a certain point, if you're making all the effort that like a lot of you are making, to be worried about the fact that you're going to die someday, it's like, no, wrong focus. Focus on your life. Focus on the fact that you have X number of days and years, and make sure you're getting them all in there. Okay, you're not going to save your life with eating a few more walnuts. It's just not true, right? It's just not true. We've all been led to believe that there's some kind of magic diet that's going to save us from all these aging diseases and all the rest. In the end, we all lose. Sick with a cold, bronchitis. Yeah, Mucinex, I'm sure, is very drying. That's probably how it's getting mucus out. Catching colds easily, sure, and I imagine a lot of that is tied to sleep. Is it going to set you back to square one? The question is, are you going to, set back to square one? Probably not. The good news is when you're healthy, you tend to stay healthy. When you're sick, it's hard to get out of that. So, some of you writing in, it's like, yeah, I get it. When you got to break the inertia of being sick for many, many years in a row, that's not easy. But when you do it, you'll tend to get better and stay better. So keep going, keep going. Eat your soup, sweat, get it out, get your cold out of there, of course. It's in some ways it's like a very mechanical understanding of health. When you get a cold, sweat it out, right? Eat a bunch of hot soups and get a good sweat. See if you can get the cold condition out of your body. This is how the Chinese think of it, right? It's not a virus. It's not this. It's just a cold condition. Sweat it out of your body, right? You can burn it out, okay? There is a time to do that, obviously. Yeah, eating times I mentioned here. Eat a big breakfast, she says, and then your suggestion in your video about not eating after 4 p.m. There's no way I could do that. No problem. No problem. I'm not saying everything that I'm telling you in these videos or in my emails is what every single one of you should do. You have to fit this to your situation and to your circumstances. I can't eat a lot at one time, so I tend to eat more often when my blood sugar gets low. Fair enough. Yeah, I get weak if I go too long without eating. And again, the weight loss thing. I eat dinner about 6, maybe half a pear. Have some fruit afterward. Will that affect your sleep? I don't know. Test it and see. I know you have trouble with that anyway. So the earlier you can eat, the better. And I don't know if you're being treated for blood sugar issues at all. But low blood sugar is like, it's a bit of a chimera. Like, people have been going hungry for a lot of years. Right, everybody gets upset because low blood sugar now. I don't know. If you're not passing out, if you're not dizzy and in danger of falling down, there's nothing wrong with having low blood sugar. It's very good for you. That's how your body recovers. You want low blood sugar. If you're lightheaded and dizzy and you pass out, that's not good. Okay, but keep some protein around. Like, eat some jerk beef or something. Do something like that to keep from getting weak. Okay, there's really no limit to how much protein you can eat. You just got to make sure you move your bowels normally, because if you eat too much meat, you'll get blocked up. It's very hot, and it's also can be very drying because the heat will dry you out. Okay, so just make sure you're balancing that out. Keep some turkey around. Page 60. Milk triggers stomach acid production. Isn't that a good thing? Yes, I did say that. It makes the blood acidic, but I'm just curious to know why triggering stomach acid production is a bad thing. Because again, milk is so bloody damp. So again, don't think of it in a reductionist kind of framework where you go, okay, milk triggers stomach acid, that must be good, right? Because we want stomach acid to help with digestion. Yeah, but it's damp. It's incredibly damp. And because most people have serious issues with milk as an allergic reaction, which you should have, right? It's not for human beings. You have to be careful that you don't trigger the autoimmune response, okay? Thank you, Lori. Again, last comment here from Lori about taking antibiotics. Yeah, well, that's very tough. If you had to take an antibiotic, you just fight through it. By God, if you got to take one, you take it. If you're in danger and if you start taking an antibiotic, you take it all the way to the end. Okay, the probiotic foods that I teach you how to make in the master class will help you recover quickly. Sometimes you got to take it. My teacher, my mentor, when I saw him a couple years ago, he was hospitalized for an infection too. He's not stupid, He pumped him full of antibiotics. He was really happy to be alive. You can get infections in the tropics that are really deadly, right? No BS. He's not dumb. He knows, but right away he got busy rebuilding his bacteria. So keep going. Keep going, Lori. That's a tough blow, but it's not the end of the world. You just fight through it and keep going. Okay. Here we go. An earlier question. This is probably a week ago now from Alyssa. Yeah, the dryness-dampness combo, you just have to balance it out. Okay. Warm the spleen, cool the liver, dry out dampness or drain dampness, and then moisten dryness. That's what you're doing. Those are the treatment principles. The spleen gets cold and weak, so you need to warm it and build it up. Okay, the liver gets hot and basically agitated. You need to cool it down and calm it down. When I say calm it down, the implication is mentally and emotionally, don't be angry, don't lose your cool, stay calm, right? Stay like in a meditative kind of, stay in a very philosophical state about your life. Of course, it's not easy, obviously. We have no injunctions in our Western, especially American culture about, the bad behavior of yelling and screaming and acting like an ass and being angry. We all do it. I've done it. You see it every single day. Our basic hit is like, yeah, if you get upset, you should get it all out. This kind of thing. Not really. From a medical point of view, that's a bad move. The best move is like, think how the Japanese, right? Think how Asians treat each other. The whole culture is aimed on like, how dare you lose your cool in front of anybody? You never let anybody get you angry and show it, right? You keep yourself calm. Why? Is it politeness thing? Partly, but it's also good for your health, right? You don't want your liver blowing up like a volcano erupting. That's bad for you, right? Calm down, take it easy, right? Very few things are worth getting upset to the point that you damage your internal organs. Okay, a lot of people run around with mental, emotional states of mind that are very damaging to your organs, right? Why? Why do that to yourself? Life is bad and hard and dangerous and horrendous enough. Don't do it. Yeah, probably, Alyssa, your spleen has been through hell and back. That is certainly what it sounds like to me. And if you had especially like a chronic infection, which I know you talked about earlier, maybe that was true, maybe it wasn't. It certainly sounds like a lot of damage was done. You're making progress. So again, right, you laid out your food plan here and your typical thing. That's just great. Like, you're doing everything you need to do. Give your body time. Keep going, right? I get it. The fatigue is tough. I know you're a mom too. God bless you. You know, hat tip to all moms, because that's the oldest, toughest job there is, and you got to hang in there. I mean, it's just that simple. You got to hang in there. Focus on what matters. Focus on where you want to get to. Every day you should be up at 30,000 feet looking down at your life going, yes, we're going to get there. And I know you are, because you keep sending me updates, and I read every single one of them. So, you know, keep going, but, you know, here's my motivation, whether that's your kids or, you know, what beautiful things you want to experience before you're off the planet. Whatever that is, you keep going. You focus on your motivation every single day, and you look at your actions and activities, and right, you try to, your job is to control your mental, emotional state. Your meal plan and what you're eating, you can't do better than you're doing. Okay, and I'm not there with you. I can't see you clinically like I would treat patients in clinic. You certainly have internalized the principles. You're doing extremely well. Okay, so hang in there. The fatigue thing often just goes away on its own, but it's going to take time, because you gotta. It's like you went into debt. Now you're paying back the debt. You got to pay off the debt before you're going to have some capital again. Okay. Do I recommend a multivitamin or protein powder? Sure. Sure, why not? You know, protein powders can be very hard to digest. So especially if you're struggling, your spleen is not strong, go easy with that, right? Don't go full throttle on it. You'll know, because you'll have bloating and gas, and it won't break down properly. I tend to think, like, why protein powder? Eat sliced turkey. If you need protein, do that. They're also expensive. You know, a multivitamin, maybe. Green powder might be best. You can get some kind of cheap, you know, a green drink. I mean, they sell it at Trader Joe's. They sell them everywhere now. Okay, so you don't need to strain to do it financially. But maybe you don't need that. You know, again, when I get too many questions about, like, should I add this? Should I add this? Should I add another supplement? Should I put a multivitamin in my diet and all the rest? My basic answer is, yeah, but why? You know, you're too worried about a magic pill that's going to fix things. Keep doing what you're doing. Stay focused on the goal. Taking a multivitamin it's probably not a bad idea, but do you really want to put another thing that your body has to, sort out, another complicated, concentrated supplement? You want to spend more money, Don't think that you're going to find a supplement, spend a bunch of money, and then everything's going to turn around. It doesn't work that way. You have to work at this over time so that your body can recover. Okay, just like going to the gym, you got to recover. So when your body's changing, you're going to get fit to do a triathlon. Well, that takes time. Intense dryness continuing to bother me. Yeah, flax and fruit. That's what I'd be doing. Coconut oil, sure. But again, right? Don't overcomplicate it. Don't take teaspoons of coconut oil. You want, some butter is good for dryness, It's really butter, and then drink your tea, okay, to counteract the dampness. omega-3s in capsule form. You see what I'm saying a little bit, Alyssa? Right? It's too many things. You're trying to put too many supplements in because like, oh, if I have dryness then too. Your body will fix that better than anything you can do to intervene with it. Keep building your organ strength up. Build your organs, right? You're putting your organs in the gym and building them up so that over time you don't have to take extra supplements of any kind. This goes for all of you. In general, that is a common mistake. I made it myself, right, before I really understood herbology and really understood how powerful the self-healing thing is. Less is more. Don't think that you got to take 50 supplements. You got a whole cabinet full of supplements. You're wasting your money. In most cases, you're wasting your money. You just don't need it. Eat a good diet. That's it. Eat your diet. If you're sick, eat according to your symptoms. Michael, I don't know how to say your last name. Please let me know. I have a hot stomach and feel something in my mouth and my throat when I go to sleep. I feel okay. Is this related? Yeah, it sounds like it is. He's talking about burning. It sounds like burning in the epigastrum. I have a gastroscope on Thursday. Yeah, I mean, if they're sticking a scope down your esophagus and checking you out, please, by all means, get the pivot protocol. Okay, this is who I created. I created this program for you. And it does sound like you got some problems with the acid reflux and all the rest. Pava, thank you for the question. Things went wrong last September. I had an infection. Doctors gave me antibiotics, bacteria, and the test came back negative. Great. H. pylori, I always feel like it's a real toss-up whether you should treat it or not, especially with antibiotics, right? I give you a way to treat it in the phase 1 material. But my basic feeling is it's not, H. pylori is not, for years it was believed that it caused ulcers. Turns out that a lot of people with ulcers do not have H. pylori infection, and a lot of people with H. pylori do not get ulcers. And actually H. pylori stimulates stomach acid. So what are you going to do? It's not obvious that it needs to be cured or killed. And if you're having burning in your gut and, they tell you that you have H. pylori and want to put you on antibiotics, my advice is don't do it. But if you did it and the damage is done, then you know what you got to do. You got to pull yourself together. Throat looks good, stomach is red, sure, small dose of omeprazole, that's the typical. That's certainly a first line treatment for acid reflux. So yeah, that feeling of something stuck in your throat, I go into this in real detail. So everything that you're describing, the question is, right, get busy with the master class. So I hope you're watching this. I know this is a long video. I've had, yeah, look at this. We're over an hour. I don't know how else to do this. I have so many questions. I know all of you want answers, but just understand, I mean, those of you writing in like, gee, could your program help me? Like, you need to try it. You need to really try it for yourself and see. Okay, I can't solve this for you. I've done all the work. If you'll follow a program, you can see for yourself what's going to happen, but you do have to put some work in. Mostly you have to understand what I'm talking about, which is work. These are not concepts that are in our culture. These are not things that you have come across before. I guarantee it. Unless you speak Chinese, right, and you've studied in China, in which case you ain't watching this video. Okay, unless you've been to, Central America and studied with the tribe of indigenous people that I met and worked with there, it's like, there's no way you know this. So the concepts and the ideas and the protocol itself is very, very different. I don't expect you to get it quickly, but you have to work to try to understand it. I do these videos to try to make it easy for you. Tried to eat foods that don't cause acid, but not helping. Went to see a nutritionist. Yeah, gluten-free, sugar-free, dairy-free. Okay, great. Gluten's damp, sugar's damp, dairy's damp. So don't trigger a lot of dampness building up in your body. That's always a good principle. We get into that. There's reasons why that gluten is not the boogeyman that it's made out to be. In fact, it's really good for you. So you have to figure out for yourself if that's a problem. But again, what you're getting from the nutritionist is a blanket statement about just do this, right? And everybody goes gluten-free, and everybody goes dairy-free, and all the rest. But The real answer is you have to figure out when it's okay to have gluten, when it's okay to have dairy, how you can have dairy, okay, where it might be beneficial, especially for dryness and to keep your body strong, okay, in what form. I go into all of that. I go into absolutely all of that. Melanie. Hi, Christian. I'm experiencing pain in my throat, like a lump on swallowing, gnawing, cough. Need your help. Yep. Well, I hope you're a student now. I hope you're not waiting, to figure out if this is going to help you, because, even in the quiz, the number one sign of liver reflux is that difficulty swallowing. Okay, I've talked in this video about plum pit sensation. The gnawing cough, that's not good. You don't want your reflux getting to the point where you're starting to cough and, your throat's going to get raw. It's like, you're headed down a bad slope, right? You're headed down a very bad path. So I hope you get started. Get started with phase 1, learn what's going on, get the master class, and get going. Okay, because you don't have time. When your health is breaking down, you really don't have time. Candace. In December, I felt ill, sent home, not better. Perforated appendix. Wow. Horrendous, right? That's a horrendous thing to be dealing with. If you have a ruptured appendix, you're probably facing surgery. I'm guessing the crisis has passed at this point because this was a while ago. Treated with antibiotics. Abscess grew. Intravenous antibiotics. That's about as bad as it gets. 7 weeks with antibiotics. I mean, that's bad. No doubt about it. Okay, in that time, I had more tests. However, I do not feel good. I imagine you do not feel good. Okay, I could not imagine if you did feel good after that. I feel heat all over my body. Yeah, I mean, first of all, your digestive bacteria has been absolutely crushed. So you're going to have to deal with that. Antibiotics are very cold. They damage the fire, the spleen digestive fire. They damage the function of your spleen. So, constant belching, that's bacteria overgrowing in your body. Okay, you're going to have yeast infection after that much antibiotics. It's impossible that you would escape that. Nausea, again, right? Food that's supposed to be going down is trying to come back up. And you get the nauseous thing. Okay, nausea is always a liver, spleen, stomach thing. Lymphatic lumps, yeah, I mean, not good, You're going to get all kinds of effects on your lymph system. Numbness, right, etc. All of that stuff. I mean, you've had a hell of a trauma, right, to the body. So I imagine that's going to be hard for you to overcome. My advice is get started. I hope I can help you, Candace. It's kind of good that they didn't take your appendix, but obviously you have other problems and complications. Get started with a pivot protocol. If it doesn't help you, I offer a money-back guarantee. All you have to do is prove to me that you did it, right? So I don't deal with jokers who just want to buy it and waste my time begging for a refund. You just have a checklist in there. You go through the checklist. If you've really studied it and it doesn't help you, I'd be surprised if you don't get some kind of benefit from it. But look, I mean, it's not magic, and I'm certainly not God. And what I'm laying out is some principles that you can follow that will save you a lot of wandering around blindly trying to figure out what you can do for yourself. This is self-empowerment. This is self-healing on a level that in our medical system, it just doesn't exist, right? Nobody anywhere is teaching you what do you do after you have something like this, okay? I'm trying to hide as many details as possible here, but still explain to anyone else watching. Like if you went through anything like Candace has just been through, for God's sake, get started and learn what you can do to put your body back together, because that's what the pivot protocol is. It's a self-healing program, okay? You don't have to be this bad off to benefit from it, but, right? Ann Brown, Ann. Thank you for the comment, right? Thank you. Yeah, so I mean, maybe this is a Lyme disease kind of condition, but if they treated you, if you again same discussion here. If you've taken an antibiotic, you got to get busy putting yourself back together. Okay, antibiotics will trigger all kinds of immune system problems, not least of which will end up being autoimmune disease. Getting your bacteria back in balance. I teach you how to do this in the master class. So, keep going. Like, get started. If you're not into the masterclass material, do it. I've updated and improved a lot of stuff. I keep adding videos and making things better since I've launched this. So, Michael, I already answered your question about burning in your stomach. Yes, that does sound like acid reflux. If you're worried, get to a doctor. Always, guys, get to a doctor. Okay? Play it smart. Okay? I'm not here to give personal medical advice. I do this as a Q&A because I think there's value in, like, everyone who writes in, you're kind of a case study. If you don't want me to talk about your situation on camera, please don't put anything in there or tell me not to talk about it. But I do this as a way to educate you, because once you understand how your digestive organs work, once you understand what causes what's causing your specific symptom. If you got burning in your throat or you feel like you can't swallow, that's one specific organ is tied to that. Now we know where to go to fix that. Okay, then we go to the next thing. Then we go to the next thing. We fix the organs over and over again, day after day after day. And your body knows how to recover. You're creating a condition where your body can recover. Okay, if you were in a car wreck and you're broken bones everywhere, you'd lay in a bed until your bones grew back together. Okay, you create a environment where your body can heal. That's what we're doing here. Okay, thanks for all the questions, guys. I'm completely worn out. I got to get some rest and get some lunch, and I'll be back next week. And keep your questions coming. And those of you struggling, hang in there. I've been there. Okay, keep going. You can do it. Okay, you can do it. It's worth it. It's worth the effort. It's worth the struggle. Okay, thanks, guys. Take care.